But without any further ado, we're going to bring it right now. The man of the hour, the man himself, former WWE Superstar, former two-time Intercontinental Champion, and, of course, Judo Master and current participant of Battlearts Academy, Santino Marella. Welcome, man.
Oh, hey, man. Thank you very much for having me.
Nah.
Hey. Was that intro good enough for you?
Yeah, I mean, you could have put a little more oomph in it, but that's okay. I'm just kidding. No, it was good.
Thanks, man. It's a pleasure to have you on our show. Of course, our show always made history. Thank you for coming on. We're honored to have you on to talk about your career, of course, since WWE. So I just want to ask you, what do you want us to call you? You want us to call you Santino? Do you want us to call you by, another name? What do you want us to give you a name?
You can call me Anthony. It's, my name's Anthony, obviously, but the last year and a half I've been back in Mississauga due to my neck injury, and I've been Anthony again for the last year and a half. But for a long time I was Santino, man. But you guys can call me Anthony. It's more on a personal level.
Okay, thanks, Anthony.
All right,
definitely appreciate it. So to start things off, before we get into all wrestling and everything WWE, we want to ask you first, tell us about your love for martial arts and your love for judo.
Yeah, when I was when I was young, I loved, obviously, Kung Fu movies and martial arts and Bruce Lee and that kind of thing. So I wanted to be a ninja. So I talked to my mom and I said, Mom, I need to be a ninja. So she put me in, she just randomly happened to pick judo. And that's it, man. My life was all judo, man, all through elementary school, high school, university. I was on the national team for Canada, and judo was my life, man.
Go ahead. I'm going to turn it over to my co-host. He's proficient in martial arts. I know this is his big area, so go ahead, Gameboy.
Yeah, well, Tony, first of all, I'm going to call you Tony. I ain't going to call you Anthony. I'm going to call you Tony because I feel as we're close. It's always good to speak with a fellow martial artist.
Nice. What do you do?
Well, growing up, I took Taekwondo, and then as I became an adult, I left and started training under Aikido. And I practiced Aikido for 8 years.
Oh, Aikido's awesome, man. Right after our judo class, there was an Aikido class. I would watch it, and it's very, very intricate. It's very, very. They're like it's like a cousin of judo, you know.
Yes, it really is. And you don't meet too many judo experts or judo fighters anymore. A lot of times, mostly on a collegiate level and stuff, you will find it. But because of jiu-jitsu and a lot of the other arts that's really blossoming, you really don't see judo as much. But judo is really like a stampede in the arts. It really is. It's a great art.
Internationally, judo is huge. It's practiced in like every country. I think it's the second most popular sport in the world, next to soccer, when it comes to countries that participate. And judo, it's funny. We were always playing second fiddle to karate and taekwondo when I was younger. And, amateur wrestling was like the closest thing to us back then because it's grappling. And now jiu-jitsu kind of just leapfrogged us, and they're super popular. The judo is still the
stampede,
red-headed stepchild.
Yeah, I wholeheartedly agree with you. My question to you, Tony, is this: growing up in the martial arts, what was the hardest technique for you to learn or master at that time?
Well, interesting, because my club when I was growing up had a disproportionate number of left-handed fighters. So I became really good at fighting lefties, and I lacked a little bit of experience fighting righties, believe it or not. But then when I moved to the national team in Montreal at 19, there was a plethora of right-handed fighters. So I was able to, kind of finalize my development and polish up and all that stuff.
Okay. Like that. Now, my second question is a piggyback off my first one. with the different arts that you've came across in tournaments or in just general sparring, which art do you think give you kind of the most trouble, or do you think has been the fun to go against?
Well, it's funny because back in the day when MMA was developing, it was art versus art. It was Taekwondo versus whatever, Kung Fu or Karate versus Judo. And I always knew doing Judo that, I'll kick out, I don't care who you are, whatever, but if I know Judo's going to win, right? Because back then there was no jiu-jitsu, really. There was very, very unpopular. So Judo guys we have ground techniques. So we were the only ones doing arm locks and chokes and triangle chokes, and we didn't have ankle locks. But, it depends what the competition is. Because Judo, it has a lot of similarities with Greco-Roman wrestling with regards to the clinch, and then it has takedowns, and then it has submissions. So it's really, but we have no striking. So if you wanted to be an effective fighter using Judo, you'd have to pair that up with, let's say, Thai boxing and Judo, and all of a sudden you're pretty well rounded.
All right, my man, Tony, it's been a pleasure.
But the hardest. Sorry,
yes.
I'm answering your question directly. So the ones that give you the answer I was going to say was, if I'm standing, then obviously kickboxing and boxing give you a hard time, and if we're on the ground, obviously some of the jiu-jitsu guys these days have developed a really good ground game. So it depends where you stand, but as one overall general martial art, if you can only take one, no one does anymore because we cross-train. But if you could only take one, Judo is a good one.
I wholeheartedly agree. I actually lost to a Judo fighter back when 1999. I actually lost to a Judo fighter, and
what,
it was
MMA?
It was funny because it was a tournament. We're from Baltimore. It was a Maryland-based tournament, and I actually lost to a Judo fighter. We were sparring. We were sparring. Say again?
What was the competition in? Was it MMA or was it a?
No, it was more MMA. It was back when it was kind of its inception, and I wanted. It was a guy that I knew. He was a good friend of mine, and he was telling me about Judo. And back then Judo was, like you said, Judo was everything. Everybody applied Judo. And I was like, okay, well, I'm going to try. And he's like, okay, I'm going to see you. And, I watched him in his matches, and I was like, I could take him. He fucked me up. Lack of better word.
Judo,
he got me.
Grappling and striking are a little bit, okay, for example, let's say you're in a fight when you're a kid. Well, you're going to start throwing punches, and usually you're going to lock up and fall to the ground. A lot of fights that happens, right? Those are kind of instinctive, but Judo, the throwing techniques, it's not instinctive for anybody that gets thrown through the air. The people, they often react really dramatically when they're being lifted or thrown. The body tenses up because it's unfamiliar territory. So Judo can catch you off guard for sure.
Well, I give you kudos for keeping Judo alive and keeping the art alive. Nowadays, everybody think they're martial artists. Everybody wants to run and ground tackle and do, arm bars and cross triangles. And, they want to do as much of the arts as they can, but a lot of them don't know the fundamentals. They don't know that, the meditation and the years of training it comes. When you learn a martial arts, you're not learning as a weapon. You learn as self-defense, and that's what it's there for.
Yeah, so, and the thing is, at the end of the day, when you're old and you retire, you realize that it's not even the martial art. It's the fact that you have something to apply and focus on, and do your push-ups and your sit-ups and get stronger and listen to your sensei. And it's just the fact that you're learning something, that you're a part of a subculture, you have a community of friends outside of school. Those are all the things you get, and those things you get from every martial art, not just one.
Well, thank you, Tony, for answering my questions. I'm going to send it back to the host tech. Go ahead, baby.
Okay.
So good. That's a little. I was gonna ask you too, Tony. Is when it comes to kung fu movies, what are some of your favorite kung fu movies?
Five Deadly Venoms.
Oh.
Basically, I don't know the names of them because they were in Chinese. But on Saturday morning, the classic kung fu movies.
The Shaw Brothers.
I love Bruce Lee too.
Anything from the Shaw Brothers.
Shaw Brothers. Now, Tony, were you? What type of kung fu movies did you like? Did you like more the realistic, the Bruce Lee, mano a mano? Were you more into the crouching tiger, hidden dragon, the more, leaping off of buildings and gliding in the air type kung fu movies?
Yeah, I'll take whatever's playing. I love.
That's good. Okay. Well, with that, do you have a question for our correspondent, Ever Since Your Queen? She wanted to know, and Santino, how hard was it for you to keep up with your accent when you was in WWE playing Santino?
Oh, it's not hard at all. It's like flicking a switch. I just become the character, and then I can turn it off and on. So, for example, let's say we're talking right now, and the cameraman's in front of us, and he says, "In 3, 2." Boom, I can be Santino immediately. That was never an issue. There was some fluctuation with the accent over the years. Got a little bit of Nacho Libre there for a while, but it's not hard to turn on the character.
Mm-hmm. And then, because we're gonna keep, we'll get to the wrestling in a bit. But tell us about Battlearts Academy. And of course, we've heard of Battlearts Academy. We've had legendary MMA fighters Dan Severn and Ken Shamrock on our show, and Boss Rutten. What is it about Battlearts Academy for you, Tony, that makes it so great? And talk about upcoming projects for Battlearts Academy.
Yeah, so when I went to Japan in 2004, I trained at the original Battlearts, and it was this genre of wrestling that was so super well respected because it was like the most realistic looking wrestling. It looks like these guys are going out there and having the fight of their life every night, and it's so emotional and passionate. And I said, damn, this is the kind of wrestling I want to do. But at the same time, this is 2004, so the average professional wrestling audience wasn't up to par yet. With submissions and being able to determine when somebody's in jeopardy. Now, for example, Hoist Gracie beat Dan Severn with a triangle choke in one of the UFCs. No one even knew what was going on. They didn't. They had no idea. I was going, look, a triangle choke. But now, someone throws on a triangle choke, and the crowd responds because they know what a triangle choke is. So I realized that this battle art style, it's ahead of the game plan. Not the game plan. It's ahead of the game in terms of the growth of MMA. So as the audience becomes more savvy, now the ultimate goal is to make the audience believe that what they're seeing is real, right? The ones to suspend their disbelief temporarily. And Battle Arts has the greatest potential to be able to do that and restore wrestling. My goal is I want to restore wrestling to those feelings you got when you were a kid and you thought that the hero, this true hero, was fighting for justice and the title, and good versus evil, and he's your representative against the dark side. This is your hero, and this is a real battle, and that's when you have those memories that'll last a lifetime. You're jumping in the air and popcorn's flying, and because your guy won and he laid his life on the line, and that's the genre I fell in love with.
That's awesome, man.
It is.
Yeah,
it is.
That's very compelling. I like that.
No, because we'll segue to this question with martial
arts.
What I do.
I compel.
No problem, man. No problem.
No problem. Of course, it's been known in the past about how The Undertaker is a big MMA fan, using, of course, the triangle choke or the Hell's Gate in WWE. Have you had a chance backstage to talk to Taker about his MMA love? Have you inspired him or taught him anything?
Yeah, we talk about, if there's a UFC fight, we watch. A lot of guys watch them, I remember being at Del Rio's house watching Brock versus Carwin and all that kind of stuff. And when Brock lost to Kane, and sometimes we'll try and catch a Hooters if we're driving by. a lot of guys like MMA. We like boxing. We're guys. You know, we'll try and catch the football game, and the UFC is fun to watch. So there's a lot of guys that I don't know how many guys go home and grapple. I know over the years some of us would get together at a local gym, get in the boxing ring, and roll around. Some of the guys. There's a lot of guys in pro wrestling that have amateur grappling backgrounds. Even someone like Randy Orton was a state champ when he was a kid. Cody Rhodes was a state champ as a kid. There's Nemeth and Ziggler. So many guys. Even Kofi, John Morrison. You know, I grappled. There's a lot of guys that have a grappling background.
Wow. Oh, thank you for that. Saltine, go, brother. We'll let our media assistant ask a question. Go ahead.
Hey, Tony, how you doing, man?
Oh, great. Tony. You mean Anthony.
Anthony, okay. Hey, how you doing, brother? Good.
Awesome.
All right. My question for you is, how you feel that a lot of 90s inspirational cartoons like Power Rangers and Ninja Turtles help young kids get into martial arts?
How do those types of TV shows help kids?
Yeah.
Yeah, I was actually, when I was in university, people don't know this, but I worked for a singing telegram company in Montreal, and I was Tommy the Green Ranger, and I would go to kids' houses and I'd make them get up, and there's definitely an overlap, and even with movies and mainstream media over the years, everyone's had this love of martial arts, you know, from Chuck Norris and American Ninja and Bloodsport and Rocky. People love that. They just love that stuff. They eat it up.
Oh yeah. I mean, Tennessee Gameboy, know one of my favorite, besides Five Deadly Venoms and the legendary Kung Fu movies. One of my favorite Kung Fu movies is Bloodsport, definitely.
Yep.
And the American Ninja one. So
that movie Bloodsport made so many expressions or slogans, and you know. How many times have you looked at your friend and said, "Here's the American asshole that makes tricks and bricks"? You know, everyone said that a couple times. Or you a Jackson? You don't look like a Jackson.
or Mate.
No, I said
that
wrong. Yeah, Mate. I said that wrong actually. It was Tanaka. That's what it is. It was Tanaka. You look like a Tanaka.
It'd be good to see Anthony, you in a reprising role in Bloodsport.
If they remade Bloodsport, I would totally try and get a part in that. I'll lose second round, no problem, as long as I'm in there.
No problem. Do you want to turn over to my co-host of my other show, Wrestling Black and White, Angry Mark? Welcome, brother. Live with Santino. I'm sorry, Anthony.
Yeah, Anthony, thanks for calling in. Appreciate it.
My pleasure.
What I'd like to ask you, starting out, is when you debuted and hopped that barrier, okay, and hopped in that ring with Umaga, can you explain to the fans how far in advance did you know that you were going to debut, and who did you work with on that storyline?
I was driving in Louisville, Kentucky. This is a Saturday. And I'm driving to Elizabethtown to do a house show for OVW. At this point, I'm a contracted talent. And so I got signed in August of 06. So I went home for a couple months, and I came back in November to OVW because it took 2 months to get a work visa from Canada. So now I've been back so I got back in November, December, January, February, April, or March, April. So I've been there for, I don't know, what's that, 5 months, 5, 6 months. And they got a call, and someone in the office knew that this guy playing the Russian character Boris Alexiev was, in fact, from an Italian background. And so they called me. It was Mike Bucci called me with a few writers in the room. I was on speakerphone. And they said, "Can you speak Italian?" And Dusty Rhodes, God rest his soul, told me if you are ever asked if you can do anything, perform a skill or anything, your answer is yes, and then you learn how to do it, So I said yeah, and then I bluffed, and basically, this is Saturday. Sunday they fly me out, and I debut Monday. It was insane. I tell people, like, imagine you're playing AAA ball in, Nebraska, and all of a sudden you get called up to the Yankees and you're debuting and you're going to pitch in Yankee Stadium.
Wow. So that was an amazing moment for you, your family.
Or the Baltimore Orioles, sorry.
Yes.
So you've worked, you worked with the WWE for almost 10 years. Working for Vince, Triple H, Stephanie. You've been there to see the growth of what Triple H has been doing behind the scenes as well as with NXT. Can you explain from, like, personal interactions how it's been to see, like, Triple H transform from more of the wrestler into a boss in the back?
Yeah, when I first went on the road, it was DX, and DX was there. They were on the house shows with us. And, he's a Triple H, as you probably know, he's a brilliant guy. And he really has his finger on the pulse of the industry of professional wrestling. He lacked the business side, and he's learned that since. So, but having Vince, the ultimate businessman as your mentor is what a luxury that is. So he's very good for the business, put it that way. It's good to have him here. He sees things. He just has a good taste of what's good and what's not good, and the transition was good.
So with that being said, if Mr. McMahon, your boss, maybe boss again in the future, possibly, never know, right?
I'll be doing something with the company, I'm sure.
Yeah. If Vince was to step down, do you see Triple H being able to take over where Vince left off, or do you see possibly a third party coming in, somebody outside the family?
Well, it's not just there's a lot of people there that kind of, direct this massive ship. Stephanie is there, and Stephanie, believe it or not, she is like Superwoman. I love Stephanie. She's so smart. Stephanie is like, Stephanie and Triple H are obviously like this power couple, but not just because of their power and wealth. They're just two driven, intelligent people that are just, alpha male, alpha female, and they're hungry, and they're just so driven. And it's like sometimes you wonder, how is someone who's so successful still so hungry and so driven? They are, and they lead by example. They're so professional. They never slack. So you got to pull up your socks and keep up with them. Especially Vince too. Look at Vince. I mean, this guy sleeps 3 hours a day. He drives 4 hours, gets to a gym at midnight, works out with his personal trainer, goes to bed, gets up, first one in there in his suit at the building. They're machines. And Triple H is following in those footsteps too. I have. Ever since Battlearts Academy, I understand Vince so much more now. You have to micromanage everything. It's your ship, You have to stay on top of everything. And there's business at that scale, it just takes so long to kind of be able to keep track. Even though you're going to delegate, and you're going to have people that are VPs and different, marketing and finance and law and all that kind of stuff, you still have to oversee everything.
And my last question before I turn it back over to Tech and Gameboy is, with NXT now coming into its own as its own brand, so to speak.
Yep.
And they're signing talent from all over the world. The guys who have been at WWE, working there for years, some of the talent, do you feel that the addition of the Performance Center and knowing that these talents are going to be getting called up eventually, do you think the system is now putting more pressure on some of the guys who have been there 5 and 6 years to, hey, well, you better perform or there's somebody who can take your spot?
Not so much. Well, I mean, obviously, yeah. I mean, to a certain extent. But at the same time, the people that are on TV, they're established and people know them. And if they're good and they're over, then you shouldn't be really worried too much. But there's always, there's always that young buck coming up that wants to take you out. And there's hundreds of guys and 4 spots. Just say, man, that's 96 unhappy guys. So it's definitely every man for himself. There's an unspoken understanding that if opportunity comes my way, I'm going to seize it. Maybe you've been wrestling 10 years, I've been wrestling 2 years, and if I get an opportunity, I'm going to seize it. Nobody would ask anybody not to seize it.
Well, I'll squeeze this in real quick. Tell us the origin of the Cobra.
The origin of the Cobra was at a bar in Japan, and a friend of Mr. Ishikawa, who's our head instructor here at Battlearts for submission wrestling, his buddy just transformed his arm into a snake, and that was it. It was kind of like a little funny joke thing. And then, 4 or 5 years later, I just remembered it one time, and I told Cena, I go, check this out, I'm going to try something in my match. And I used it in my comeback, and, immediately the crowd, who had never seen it before, laughed and had a really good reaction. And he just, when I came back, said, I'd keep that if I were you. And, that was it. And then basically it was getting over on the house shows with the boys, watching the show on the monitor and the agents and the audience. And then basically the word filtered down to Vince. So one day at Raw, I'm with having a match with somebody, Ricky Steamboat's my producer. And he says, you're going to go over tonight with the Cobra. Vince wants to see it. And he saw it and he liked it. And I couldn't get rid of that goddamn thing.
I must say, it was great. It was great because it was so entertaining. And like you guys in the ring, when you guys are working and we're at home watching SmackDown or Raw, I do want to thank you because you guys help bring families together to sit down and do something together. Like my son and I will sit down together.
That's my favorite part about wrestling, man.
But, my son and I will sit down for 3 hours. We'll watch Monday Night Raw together. And that's 3 hours of time that I get to spend with my son because of talents like yourself. So thank you.
Oh, my pleasure. Thank you. That's actually some of our fond memories, Like my brother and my sister, they were into their own thing. My dad, whatever. But when wrestling was on, we were all in the living room and we were all together. And, there's only been a few moments in my life where our family was standing in the living room, jumping up and down, when Ben Johnson won the 100-meter dash, and when the Jays won the World Series, and when Hulk Hogan beat the Iron Sheik.
Oh, wow. Well, thank you for letting me ask some questions. I'll get a couple more in at the end, but let me turn it back over to Tech. Thank you very much.
Okay, no problem.
Thank you, Mark. Anthony, we got a few fan questions on Twitter from JNN Jet. He wants to know, does comedy relief still have a place in today's WWE? And he also wants to know, have you ever had a thought of hosting your own podcast?
A podcast, I do. I have a podcast for Muscle Tech, Muscle Tech products. I kind of host their podcast, but to do my own, not really. I'd like to have a talk show. Comedy, there will always be a spot for comedy. Just like if you're watching a movie that has very serious, tones, there has to be a comedic moment just to have that buffer. So the movie doesn't. There has to be, ups and downs, and you're going to take them on an emotional roller coaster. So you'll have serious segment, funny segment, exciting segment, serious segment, sexy segment. There has to be everything to be a show.
Good question. Thank you for that. Thank you, JNN Jets. Another question from Twitter by Razor Cabron says, how does the current booking of Roman Reigns jive with your own idea how wrestling should be booked?
Well, wrestling is, everybody has an opinion, and it's just really your opinion. For example, when I was a kid, I didn't like Shawn Michaels and stuff like that. That was just my opinion,
Oh, wow.
But then when I grew up, though, obviously I love Shawn Michaels. But as a kid, he was such a good at being a villain. So anyway, but everyone likes different characters. Everyone has different favorites. Everyone has different ideas. And Shit, I went off topic. Sorry, man. What was the question?
Now the question is, how Roman Reigns is being booked. How does it go with the idea of how it should be booked?
I don't know how it should be booked. You know, there's the audience now is one of the characters in the programming, and they chant, and they're a part of the show. So they want to boo, they want to fight the power, they want to fight the man or whatever it is, and they want to say we want what we want. You know, when I was a kid and my mom made dinner, I didn't get to say I don't want this, make me something else. You had to eat what was on the table. So I think sometimes the fans should just enjoy the product, and you know, if you spend your whole wrestling career, you know, as a fan, just wishing it was different, you're not going to have a good experience. Just enjoy it. And Roman Reigns is awesome. People are being silly. He looks the part. He's a great human being. He's a locker room leader. He's third generation, whatever it is. There's no reason why anybody would be booing him besides the fact that they're jealous of his hair or something.
Hey, Sam, so let me ask you a follow-up onto that. So you're about, you know, which is great. I love how, you know, Roman seems to never give up. You know, it's good for what they're doing. Now you're saying that, you know, he's become more of a leader, I guess, in the back. Would you say that leadership role has came forward with all the injuries that have taken place to some of the big stars?
Well, you know, to be a leader, you know, he was a champion and stuff like that too. But he speaks up. He speaks up. He's an independent guy, alpha male, super athlete. He's a stud, and he has class, and he's a nice person. So I think naturally, he was put in that position. And yeah, you know, it could have been due to the fact that some guys were vacant. But you know, I haven't been on the road for a year and a half. But when I go there, he's a significant entity in the locker room.
Yeah. So when you say, we all know about your injuries, is Santino Marella, the wrestler, done completely with in-ring activity?
Oh yeah. I can't take a proper back bump. I might be able to get away with one here and there, but you know, I can't go wrestle on a weekly basis and get beaten up anymore. But but that being said, you know, now that I'm a free agent, I may just have to wrestle in one of our own Battlearts shows, or maybe one of George the Iceman's Destiny shows.
All right. That would be very intriguing. The Cobra, one night only.
Yeah.
Are you Anthony? Did you know? Of course, you know, you told us the origin of the Cobra. Did you know right offhand that you had something special, or was it something that you thought, okay, let me just try this out and see how it would turn out? And are you surprised about how big it's gotten? This as big as like Sacco, or you know, a movie just like that.
It blew up so freaking fast. I mean, like, by the time I did it on TV, like in 2 months, I would gesture, and there were times when I'm in the ring and I look at the audience with that look like, you know, like I just realized what I should do next, whatever, and the place would go apeshit. They would go nuts, and they'd stand up and they'd jump, and I look around and I see a sea of people jumping up, and I'm like, what the hell? Why do they like this Cobra so much? I don't get it. But they did. They went crazy.
Do you feel that it's on par with Sacco? I remember you did a match with Mick Foley. I know at one point y'all was in the same room, and Foley had Sacco and you had Cobra. Tell us about that moment.
Yeah. Oh, Sacco and Cobra. Yeah, that was awesome.
Yes.
When we were backstage talking about it, we were just getting giddy with excitement. Just talking about how we're going to do it and stuff. So it was it was fun. And the way it played out was just perfect, you know, the timing of everything. And it was a fun moment. He actually made a really nice post on his Facebook page about that being one of the his favorite moments of his career.
Wow.
And I thought that was amazing. Yeah, because he's a legend, man. And for him to say that something he did with me was one of his favorite moments was pretty cool.
Go ahead, Gameboy.
Well, why you bring up the legendary name of Mick Foley? I wanted to ask you. I think when it comes to comedic value in the WWE, your character has definitely been at least in the top 5. And I think the thing that's most shocking is that not only was it funny, it was believable and it was encouraging. And my question to you is that do you believe that the character and yourself should have a place in the WWE Hall of Fame with the time that you spent there and your contributions that you've done?
That's an interesting question because JTG would always joke about me being a Hall of Famer, but he would say that for some of the stuff I did, in the first few years, he's like, you already have enough stuff, have accomplished enough to be in the Hall of Fame. But I don't know. But then again, I look at some of I was there. I've been with the company 10 years, and when you look at the percentage of like the average stay, I forget it was like 3-point-something years or whatever the number was. So, and then there was guys that were really significant characters, and you realize that they were only there for like 4 or 5 years.
I agree.
And I've been there for a long time. Yeah. I don't know. Hall of Fame, I'm in a different category too because I'm the comedy guy. So I don't. It's kind of like there's the Hall of Fame for a good. You know what I mean? There's when you're the comedic character, you're not competing against the rest of the locker room because the rest of the locker room maybe there's tough guy versus competing against another tough guy, or there's only a few spots for let's say African Americans. So there's a sub competition. There as well. Of course, you're battling that spot with everybody, but then there's so comedy spots. If there's a comedy guy coming up, I remember, Mike Hutter.
Yeah.
TNA.
Yeah, I know Mike Hutter.
Yeah, so he was doing the comedy, and he was funny because he's a funny guy actually. And when he was coming up as a funny guy, I'm like, oh, there's actually someone that's competition for me because he was the comedy role. But when there's a big monster, jacked up guy coming up from NXT, he's not my competition.
Well, that's the thing. You said it earlier. When you have a presentation, you have different elements. You have you have your sex. You have your good guy, your bad guy. You have your action and stuff, and your thriller, and then you also have the comedy. And that's the area that WWE. They really don't have someone who has true comedic value. You usually have someone that says a funny line, or they might do maybe a funny moment, but the character himself generally funny and continuously be funny, and the fans always resonate with it. I honestly believe that you have at least earned the right to be in that other realm or that upper echelon in the WWE Hall of Fame because you are one of the funniest characters that the WWE have came out with in God knows when. And consistently,
yes.
Even after all these years, it still resonates with the crowd because you make the character. And it was just something that we never really got a chance to see all the time, but when it does come, it was always like a breath of fresh air. It never got stale. And I think that's the best thing to say about it. It never got stale. You always made the character, and the character always resonated, and the fans will always remember that. So I think that down the road, you might want to give yourself a little bit more notch, like JTG said, because we had him on our show before also.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Great fucking guy, man. Great guy, man.
Oh, he's
really great.
Awesome,
Very in-depth conversation. But my last question I want to ask you real quick is that when we're talking about comedies and stuff, and we were talking about movies, if you had to name a movie to describe your wrestling career in the WWE, now that it's come to an end and everything, and you're moved on, what movie do you think, or what movie title do you think you would use to describe your wrestling career?
Oh, wow. You know what? Rocky won because he doesn't win at the end. but he gets over it, and you love him. And Santino, and also Rocky was given a chance of a lifetime. So was Santino, and he was an average guy. He was whatever. And people can relate to him because people wonder, man, if I had that opportunity, but I seized the moment. That Eminem song, Lose Yourself, because I was 33 years old when I debuted, and I was green. So basically, I started training at 28 and had my first match at 29. 30, I'm in Japan. I'm just basically doing MMA and work shoots and pancreas fights and all that stuff, battle arts matches. So then I come back to OVW. Now I'm 31 years old, and I'm learning WWE style wrestling from scratch at 31, and I'm only 5'10". So when you look at those statistics, my age, my experience level, and my size, the fact that I signed at 32 and debuted at 33 and been there for 10 years, that's pretty remarkable.
I agree. Thank you, Anthony. I greatly appreciate it.
Anthony, I have 2 more questions before I wrap up here.
No problem. I'm in no rush. My wife already left, so she went to bed.
Shout out to the missus.
Yeah.
So, with all the talent that is filled up on Raw and SmackDown, and with all the returning talent coming back from injury, that's a lot of superstars all coming back at once. You got Bray, you got Cena, you got Orton, and you were there when it was 2 brands, the SmackDown brand and the Raw brand.
Yep.
Do you think that a brand split with all this talent will help with viewers, from your opinion? Do you think going in?
Yes, 100%. I think that the brands should be split totally. It'd be so much better for business, better for the viewer, because they're going to get to see more guys. So instead of having, let's say, 20 guys on both shows, have 20 on this show and 20 on that show, and that way there's a real chance for some. Like for example, let's say Raw is the bigger show and SmackDown is the secondary show. But if someone gets super over on SmackDown, call them up or do whatever. Like I think they did. I think they should. I think they will. Hopefully they will.
Yeah, and my other question is, when you see people in the ring, like the young guys, the Roman Reigns, the Seth Rollins, the new guys, Kevin Owens. With everything that's going on right now, if you had to look in a crystal ball, okay, which is very hard to do because I didn't even own a crystal ball, who do you see talent, the cream rising to the top for, let's say, WrestleMania 35?
Good question. Sami Zayn could definitely get a really good match opportunity. I think he's going to be someone to look out for. Of course, Seth and Dean and Roman, those guys are there. Owens. When Pac gets, what do they call him? Pac. What do they call him in WWE? Neville. Isn't it Neville?
Yeah.
Man that gravity forgot.
Okay.
Yeah, Neville. Yeah, that's Neville.
Now,
yeah.
how tall? What is
he
his
comes
shoot
back.
height?
He's awesome, that guy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What's his shoot height?
Oh, I don't know.
Is he shorter than you?
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
I'm one of the shorter guys. There's only a few guys shorter than me. I think Daniel Bryan, Pac,
Mysterio.
even Mysterio, even Primo and Epico, they're taller than me. Tyson Kidd, I always thought I was taller, but apparently we're the same.
And my last question, because you're just a funny guy, and I want to hear the answer to this. Who hits catering the most when you're on the road? Who is that person that you always see at catering?
Big Show.
Who?
Big Show.
It's not for eating. Well, catering's only at TV. It's not on the regular road. But the thing is, it's not just for the food, because that's our kind of hangout while they're, putting together the arena. If it's early in the day, there's nowhere to sit. You sit in the locker room, sit at a table, have something to eat, have a coffee, shoot the shit. But I'm actually in catering a lot, to be honest.
Oh Lord. So you never know a little inside story you could maybe tell about a catering experience that's appropriate for you on the air?
A catering experience?
Yeah, something maybe happened in the back at catering, something funny, because you just seem like the type of guy that could turn just, eating a steak into something hilarious in the back.
Yeah, no, catering's kind of tame because it's, it's the lighting guys and the camera guys, and it's the writers and the producers, and, there's a lot of people back there. We can't turn into a zoo.
No.
So now we know how the Cobra puts on weight. He hangs out in catering during the shows.
Yeah, he's become a python.
Thank you so much.
Anthony, you love comedic wrestling. Who do you feel besides you are the greats? Like, for instance, Cole Cabana right now. I know he's very well versed. Just wrestled at Ring of Honor in comedic wrestling. What's your thoughts on his style of comedic wrestling and others that do it too?
Well, I don't watch a lot of wrestling, to be honest. Especially in the last couple of years, I just work so much. That's all. With Battlearts, and just running errands and having my life here. As far as wrestlers go, in the locker room, I'm probably, I don't know, I don't follow it as much as other guys. I don't know. I just looked at it as I enjoy it and I love it. I'm not a big historian or that kind of thing, because in Canada we had WWF. We didn't have any of the territories or anything else in the States. All we had was WWF, and so that's even when I got signed and went down to OVW, there were some guys I didn't know from promoters that were in the South or different territories. So I had a really nice education for wrestling when I went down there.
Now, what's your views, Anthony, on Brock Lesnar being in MMA? I know a lot of people, was against Brock being in MMA. Didn't think he was a legit tough guy. Some people didn't really agree with how UFC booked him. What's your thoughts of Brock being in MMA, and any personal stories you can give us with working with Brock or being around Brock?
Brock was gone by the time I got there, and when he came back recently, I got to know him better, when he came back, like this most recent time. But I love Brock, man. He is such a specimen to see in real life when he's standing in front of you. You look at him like, this guy is a Viking, warrior, barbarian. He needs to walk around with like an axe in his hand. And all I can think about is, when you're on those fields, like back in the day when they had the battles, that if this guy walks out the forest and you got to fight this guy, that's the day you're going to die. He's going to kill you.
That's a good analogy.
But Brock and I get along because he knows, I coach kids wrestling here, and I wrestle in university and all that kind of stuff. So we talk wrestling, and he's a super tough guy. I mean, he's obviously, to transition in no time, beat Frank Mir and Randy Couture. Like that alone is a massive accomplishment. These guys are like MMA legends. He transitioned so quickly because of his superb athleticism, his wrestling background. Imagine if that guy was doing like kickboxing from the age of 16. You know what I mean? Now you're dead.
Yeah, it would be massive.
Now, how's
It's disgusting when you think about it.
Yeah, I never thought about that. Because you know, Michael Jai White, he trained since he was 14. He started when he was 14. And
I started when I was 9.
Yeah, I started when I was 12. But yeah, I can imagine someone of Brock's stature. Wow, that would be. Yeah, people bad. That'd be real bad.
Randy Orton told me one time he saw Brock. Brock was about 300 pounds at the time, maybe like 320, and he did like around, I don't know the exact number, but around 30 wide grip pull-ups, like chin-ups in a row, 30 at 320 pounds.
Wow.
Like there's guys that weigh 170 pounds that can't do 30 pull-ups, and this guy's doing it at, like, he's a monster.
Yeah, Brock.
You know, on a side note, we had Ken Shamrock on our show a long time ago, and we asked him about Brock Lesnar, and he wanted to fight Brock Lesnar. Now, mind you, this is almost 2 years ago. So I'm pretty sure his answer might have changed. But
yes.
He always said that if he, we asked him, like, well, if you ever was in a fight with Brock Lesnar, what would you do? What would be your strategy? And he was like, I'll go for his legs, because I look at his legs and he got chicken legs, and I take him down. Yeah, he got 2 left feet. His stance is wrong, and this is Ken Shamrock we're talking about. So this is like one of the godfathers of UFC and everything. Like, most dangerous man in the world. He literally was the most dangerous man in the world at the time. So for him to give that advice and say that, I will ask you the same question. By you being a judo expert, if you was in a fight with someone like Brock Lesnar, how would you yourself, what would be a strategy that you would use to try to take him down?
Oh, damn. I would have to just try and stick and move and just try and avoid, because if he gets you down, you're in trouble. And but he's a different size guy. Like I remember one time I was standing, whatever, and at like a concert, and this police horse bumped me, and I remember thinking of the force, like, you can't stop that. It weighs way too much in the force. It's such a giant animal. When you're when you're fighting a guy like Brock Lesnar, there's nothing you can do. You can. Okay, the point I'm trying to make is there's a certain point where the size is too great. For me, I'm 215 pounds. He's 100 pounds of pure muscle heavier than me. That's too much to overcome. But if I was 240, I guess I'd go for his legs too.
Yeah. Good answer. Good
answer.
All right, go ahead, Zach.
So, Santino, you were saying a little bit about earlier, just how fun it was. With all of the different individuals you had a chance to work with, coming up from Umaga to, Beth Phoenix, you had Maria there for a while. You did a lot of fun, entertaining things. What was your most enjoyable storyline during your career?
Storyline?
What was the most enjoyable for you to do?
I enjoyed Glamourella and tagging with Vladimir Kozlov a lot. Like, very special memories for me to take from the industry. And the reason is because the person on the other side of that is just great people. Beth Phoenix is awesome. I love her to death. She's a great human being. And Kozlov, too. He's like my brother, I love that guy.
And you've done so much in that 9-year span, and then last year you announced your retirement, I believe it was. So you're not getting in the ring anymore. Was there any talk during the past year of you producing, agenting, anything in NXT maybe?
No. No, we just didn't talk about that at all. I've been busy here with Battlearts, and the WWE knows that we got some pretty cool things going on here. Every time somebody comes here from WWE, they go back and they're just blown away with the facility. And I would like this to be some form of developmental territory down the road, whether at whatever scale they want, contracted talent training here. Guys from England and Australia can come here very quickly. It's very easy to get visas because we're part of the Commonwealth, group of countries. But there's no talk about being an agent. I don't know if I'd want to.
And one other question here. Now, you get a chance to watch a product on TV. There's other products out there nowadays. Some of them, they fade, they come and go. Do you think it would be good for wrestling to once again have a competitor, so to speak? Do you think that would help the industry if there was somebody up there that could get 1 million, 2 million viewers a week? Do you think that'd be good?
Oh, 100%, because, the healthier the industry, the healthier or the better everyone does. So, for example, even like the fitness industry, if you build up the perception, publicly that you do need to adopt a healthy lifestyle, and everybody becomes more engaged in fitness, then the individual businesses do better. So, if people love pro wrestling, and pro wrestling is making this big, pop culture comeback, and everyone's talking about pro wrestling, oh my God, there should be multiple companies. It's also better for the talent. They have options, some leverage.
Yeah, that way the boys are out there getting paid. So, yeah, I mean, I can speak a little bit about that because, I was trained at Wild Samoans in Allentown.
Uh-huh.
So, yeah, my big WWE moment was In Your House, Beware of Dog in '95. So, yeah, I got the opportunity to get slopped. Let me tell you.
Oh, nice.
That was my moment. But so you do believe that it's for multiple companies to get up there. Does it ever irritate you just to see the lack of effort, though, that I'm not even saying names, so don't worry, I'm not going there. Does it ever bother you just to see companies kind of shy away? It looks like there's not enough effort put in. Does that piss people off in the back? Like, why aren't these guys making an effort?
Well, it costs money, It costs money for production. And so what happens is you have a lot of guys that love wrestling that try to, run companies. But you don't need wrestling fans. You need businessmen. You need smart, savvy businessmen and promoters, guys that are promoters. Promoting is a whole art to itself. The guy I mentioned earlier, George Iceman, he owns Destiny and promotes Destiny. He is a promoter. He was in the club industry promoting. He knows how to get out there, and he's hitting flyers. He knows what's going to reach people, and his shows are blowing up. The quality of the match on a match-per-match basis is same as anywhere else, right? But it's the production and the entire professional kind of aura that the show carries, and he's good at it. These days too, with online viewing and stuff like that, anybody can have a show and broadcast it around the world. Obviously it's more prestigious to be on a television program on a network and stuff like that. But things are going to change, man. You can have a successful online wrestling company, put up an arena and have thousands of viewers a week. You make money. The industry's changing with social media and technology.
Will we ever see any events that you put on down the road? Are you going to be streaming your wrestling maybe in Canada